Hi, I'm Eric Roach from Summit Metals, and I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I am to be here with Bald Guy Money. You've heard the legend. He's here, he's in person, and I've got some really good questions for you. I hope you're ready.
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited to do this, Eric,
good,
because
good.
I love working with you, man, and you're a
Awesome.
great guy.
You know, when Summit Metals decided to sponsor your channel, I think I told you from the very beginning, it was all about the fact that I really viewed the quality of your content as something that could actually help people make better decisions. And in part of that, you asked me, well, what if I don't feel like it's the right time to do this or that? Is that okay? And my answer was absolutely. I think the integrity that you bring to the market is unique, it's powerful, and it's actually changing lives. And I'm super excited to be connected with you in that regard.
Well, the feeling's mutual, Eric, and to be honest, I'm not going to lie. There were a lot of different companies that were trying to court me at the time. But at the end of the day, it comes down to values and morals, and I think we are perfectly aligned in that sense.
Perfect.
You know, you're a family guy, I'm a family guy.
Yep.
And we believe in, giving back to people, and I think that's really what this is all about.
All right, let's dig in.
All right.
So let's talk for a minute about the genesis of your channel. There's lots of channels out there doing, everything under the earth. You obviously have a love of precious metals. You decided to create content around that. What was your vision? Like, what was your idea of why you felt like you could make a difference in this market?
Well, what I saw was, all right, obviously it was 2021, and my wife is actually a YouTuber. And
Okay.
She has many large YouTube channels, and she was always encouraging me because I'm very analytical. I studied economics, and she said, you know what, you need to be telling people what you're doing, because obviously she saw how I was managing our personal family portfolio, et cetera, et cetera. And she said, people will be interested in hearing what you say and the logic behind the things you do. And I say, well, obviously at the time I was consuming a lot of YouTube content, and I saw, I don't want to say a lack of sophistication, but I want to say that there were things that were being done in stock YouTube channels and crypto YouTube channels that I just saw a lack of in the precious metals community. I'm talking data, analysis, presenting facts, building an argument, a thesis about why it makes sense to do one thing and not another. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take the leap. Obviously, it was during the C19 times, and I said, I'm going to give it a shot. So I started the channel, and I was just incredibly humbled at how it resonated with people and how people reacted to the message that I was putting out there, and how it's grown into what it is today, and how I expect it to continue to grow into the future. So that was really the motivating factor. I wanted to bring the sophistication that I saw happening in other parts of the market to the precious metals community, but in a way that people could digest, not in a way that I was putting people to sleep or using all kinds of lingo and jargon that people didn't understand, just
Right.
in the simplest way possible.
I actually describe to people that I'm very anti-acronym. Have you ever noticed in every industry, they all have a whole series of acronyms which no one understands.
Yes.
It's just like, communicate to me clearly. Just tell me what to do. Tell me how to think or how to, evaluate different things. Okay, let's dig in a little bit more. So you obviously have an investment philosophy, and gold and silver mattered in that philosophy. What are the kind of the macroeconomic indicators or issues that are happening that drove you to recognize gold and silver as being important in your portfolio?
I always say that it was Ben Bernanke that converted me to gold and silver.
Okay.
And it was obviously because of the quantitative easing that was being done. And I, back then I just started my first job, and I was looking, the financial crisis was just kind of getting started. And I said, if they can just turn on the printer and print all of this money and flood it into the market, I said, what does that say about the money that I'm earning, working hard and putting into my bank account? I said, they can devalue it at any moment. And I actually had a good friend, he sat next to me in the office, and we decided at that time that we were going to start purchasing gold and silver.
Wow.
So, from time to time, after we got our salaries, we would go. There was a street in Warsaw. I was working in Warsaw. The street's called Żelazna, Iron Street. And that's where all the dealers were. And we would go down there, me and him together, and we'd buy a little bit of silver, maybe, you know, a 20-gram bar of gold.
What you could afford.
What we could afford, you know,
Right.
whatever we could afford, step by step, little bit by little bit. And that is what got me into it. And it was simply from a savings point of view, and kind of saying, okay, having gold and silver, since it's been around for so long, and I know it's going to continue to have value deep into the future, I said, having this is such a secure base for me to be able to take risks in other parts of the market, because I know that if those risks end up failing and the market, let's say, crashes down, whatever I lose in those investments will more than be offset by the people entering precious metals. But much to my delight, especially over the last couple of years, I've found that those precious metals are acting almost, I don't want to call them necessarily risk on, because, you know, we're not talking about plus 150% like Nvidia stock, right? But they have been outpacing the S&P 500 over the last 12 months.
Yes.
So I have to say that as I get deeper and deeper into this, I'm seeing that, okay, it is something like of an insurance policy for when things go bad, and to protect myself against currency debasement. But in the worst case scenario, I'm really kind of just keeping up with the S&P 500 with that kind of cushion of safety. So that is how I've built metals into my investment philosophy, and it's kind of evolved over time as things have changed with how they've performed and how they've reacted to certain things happening in the market, specifically the return of central banks purchasing precious metals, which happened a little shortly after I got into precious metals, which was obviously, I got into it around 2008, and they started net purchasing precious metals, so specifically gold here, again in 2010. And so that's kind of just confirmed my thesis from 2008 that these guys are preparing for the next financial event.
That's right.
They're preparing for the next dollar crisis, debt event in the market, and they are hedging their bets against currency, specifically US dollar, with gold. And I said, you know, if it's good enough for them, it has to be good enough for me.
Yeah, I know in my case, I have not been a long-term holder of physical precious metals, but seeing the very things you're describing, I realized I needed a hedge. I needed to create a safeguard, an off-ramp, where when the market went like this, something else was going like that. So let's dig a little deeper too on your channel. So you have a specific kind of demographic, a type of customer that follows. By the way, 50,000 views and growing is unbelievable. You're clearly tapping a market. How would you describe that demographic? Before you answer, let me tell you, one of the things that's really surprised me with Summit Metals in particular is the number of female buyers that we have. I knew there'd be some. I didn't expect the proportion. Sometimes it's 30, 40% in a day. It's outstanding, the real diversity of purchasers that are out there, and it's clearly resonating to a big audience. How would you describe the demographic you're targeting with your message?
Well, obviously, who has been most attracted to my channel? I would say it's more of the sophisticated gold and silver stacker. Somebody who's obviously interested in the product, so, you know, in gold and silver, as for all the reasons that I've already explained, but also somebody who wants to see the data to build their own thesis. You know, I know that there is a specific type of video that is kind of leading in the precious metals YouTube community, but I think they see me more as, you know, some of these stock channels that they follow to say, okay, I'm getting a little bit more of a sophisticated take. So I would say when we're talking about the net worth of these individuals, definitely it's a higher net worth individual that's watching my channel versus another channel.
So how have you resisted the urge, if you will? You know, I see channels and they say silver to 3,000 tomorrow at noon. You know, they'll say gold to 140,000 next week. You've resisted that. Why?
Well, I mean, if I'm talking to people who are high net worth individuals, these are not dumb people who are going to buy snake oil. You know what I'm saying,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I'm not a snake oil salesman.
Right.
What I can say is that these people are looking for realistic, rational reasons to buy gold and silver. And it's not a matter of resisting the temptation just for clickbait, right? It's more of a matter of staying true and delivering a message that I can believe in and that I truly believe in. And I think that has also resonated amongst that more sophisticated community. And I think that if I started to go that direction, $3,000 silver by tomorrow afternoon, I would lose those people who are the core of my audience.
I agree.
The smartest, wealthiest people who are in this space, and it would attract not necessarily the kind of person that I think is in it for the right reasons. I think some people look at silver as a lottery ticket, and if you're looking at silver and gold as a lottery ticket, I think that's a bad reason.
I agree.
To stack.
Yeah, it's like in our case for Summit Metals, we could have gone after the type of customer that reacted to that message, the crazy message, in my opinion, but they're going to flash in the pan.
Yeah.
And to me, it's about building long-term quality relationships between us and our customers, between you and your audience, and so the integrity, the quality that you provide matters. It really, really matters. Now,
if I could just say one thing to that, because those are the people who get it. I think the people who watch Bald Guy Money are the people who get it. And, they're not impacted by the volatility in the market. They know that a pump today and a pullback tomorrow, they're dollar cost averaging in, and they're even scaling up when those pullbacks happen. When you're talking about those flash in the pan people, as the price moves up, they're buying the top, they're selling the bottom, and they're angry at the YouTuber who promised them the $3,000 silver or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's not what I'm interested in. So I just wanted to close the loop on that.
I would say you take it another level too, because you've actually invested heavily in the community of your audience as well, right? So you run a Discord channel. You have a very unique offering on Patreon, and you're also very active in your comment streams on your videos too. Tell me a little bit about those different avenues, if you will, and what you hope to achieve in those.
Well, first of all, on YouTube, I want to engage with the people who watch my videos as much as possible, because I respect the time that they're putting in to watch the content and learn about what I have to say. Whether you disagree with me or not on a specific topic, and I think most of my viewers might agree 90% of the time, and there might be 10% of the time to say, yeah, you know what, I'm not 100% with you, and that's perfectly okay.
And some are valid.
And absolutely. But, when it comes to that comment section, if you've taken the time to watch my video and leave me a comment, out of respect, I should read that comment, and I do feature one of those questions in each one of my videos.
Very unique as well.
What I'm doing on Patreon is a bit different, and this is how I know who is watching me, because I'm seeing some of these very high net worth people, which is incredible to me, join that Patreon, enter the Discord. We have really a lively community there, and sharing things about a wide array of topics, because those people specifically who have joined the Discord, which is through the Patreon, those are people like me. They are maybe 10, 15, 20% in precious metals, but they have this entire world outside that includes real estate, because I'm a big hard asset guy, stocks, maybe even a little bit of Bitcoin, speculating on the future. And this is the kind of people who have been attracted to me and that community. And we're really discussing a wide array of things. And it's not just one way, by the way. It is me putting out a message, but it's very interactive in the sense that I want people to comment, I want people to challenge, and sometimes, specifically on the Patreon, I'll address those challenges that I get to say, hey, person X said ABC, and this is what I think about A, this is what I think about B, this is what I think about C, and then kind of include them in the discussion.
Yes.
So I think that's important on both sides, because if you're being excluded from the discussion that's happening, whether it's on YouTube or a paid service like Patreon, then you have to think, is this person actually listening to what I'm saying, or am I just a product for them to push whatever bullion guy who's sponsoring them, or whatever mining stock they're trying to push to me this week, right?
Right. I mean, we operate in a like-minded community, right?
Yeah.
And you might be an engineer, you might be a doctor, you might be a soil scientist, you might be a geologist, all of these people actually have something to contribute, right? They bring in different ideas and thoughts that help me, certainly, and I'm sure you shape the vision of where you things are going, where you think things may go in the future.
If I knew as much as my collective community, I'd be the smartest guy in the world, but I'm not.
Yes, but you're tapping it, and that's what's really important. So let's shift real quick. So let's talk about predictions. So everybody wants to know, where's gold going to be next year? Where's silver going to be? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think easily gold is going to reach $3,000 an ounce, and I think that's going to actually happen in the second half of this year. I know that it was Goldman Sachs.
I'm going to interrupt you. One of the amazing things about his channel is he's actually specific about his recommendations. And unlike most people, the spammers, I'll call them, that are out there, you actually revisit what you said would happen from the past.
Put my feet to the fire, I say.
Most completely ignore what they said back then, and they're only focused on what they're saying now. You don't do that.
No, there's no double talk here either.
Right.
There's no, it can go up, it can go down.
Right.
I don't know, do what you want, right?
Exactly.
No. I like to put my neck out there and put things out as I see them. Second half of this year, I believe that the Federal Reserve is going to return to quantitative easing. They've been allowing the bonds they hold on their balance sheet to mature. So this is what we call quantitative tightening. The balance sheet has actually been reducing. That said, I believe, considering the massive interest burden that is on the U.S. government budget right now, they're going to have to start buying these bonds again to bring the real rates down. And that, I think, is going to propel gold and silver to the next level of this bull market. So I see in the second half of the year, gold reaching $3,000, and I even said that last year. And silver, I see reaching very easily $40 in that scenario. And I gave back in 2021, talking about revisiting some of those earlier price targets. I said in 2021 that I see the supply starting to get crunched by 2025 on silver, and that by 2026 we could reach $60 per ounce. I said that in 2021. Video's still on YouTube if you want to go and see it. But I believe that we are actually entering that phase of the game right now.
Do you think we're actually capable of reducing our debt?
The United States?
And around the world?
No, absolutely
You think
not.
it's just going to snowball?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, Eric, you have, first of all, the four largest line items in the U.S. budget. You have interest on debt, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and national defense, right? Those four lines, just by themselves, exceed what the U.S. government collects in tax revenue every year, which means you would absolutely have to get rid of all the rest of the discretionary spending in order just to run a smaller budget deficit each year. So when we're talking about the United States, it is simply, there's no politician that's going to commit career suicide and say, yeah, I'm going to get rid of all of these things. Plus,
I'm taking your entitlements away for the betterment of the country.
Social Security, Medicaid. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yes.
And then the first person who's going to say, okay, maybe national defense, right? You're not a patriot. And they're voted out immediately, right?
Right.
Nobody has the cojones, as they say in Spanish.
Yes.
I know you speak Spanish, to actually stand up and do that. Now, when it comes to the rest of the world, because I know a lot of American viewers like to look at it, in the capsule of what's happening in the United States. But what's happening, and we're in Germany right now, in places like the Eurozone, they're printing money like crazy. They're bringing interest rates down. They do not have enough money to support all of the social promises that they've made to retirees, to young people. And it's happening in every country around the world, even China. I know there's a big group of BRICS people who are, fans of the BRICS. Yeah, they're going back to real money. Look at what's happening in China. They are desperately stimulating the economy right now. Sure, they're running massive trade surpluses. Sure, they're in a much better financial position maybe than the United States, which is running massive deficits, so they can afford this stimulus. That we know of, right? Of course. None of it's all very milky when you look into it.
There's one source.
It's as clear as a bottle of milk, right? But anyhow, even they are doing it. They're raising the retirement age in China because they cannot support this. It is a global phenomenon. And when we're talking about global phenomenons right now, again, coming back to why you might want to own gold and silver is global as well. It is not only global, but it's timeless. We're talking about 5,000 years of history in an asset that is recognized as valuable in all around the world.
Let's hit risk management real quick, because you're on the fringe of that right now. So, we're seeing these things happening. We're seeing debt. We're seeing what's happening in the economy, all the world events. How do I protect myself? Like, what do I do, and where do precious metals really fit in that model, if you will?
Yeah, sure. I mean, stocks, you want things that haven't run up right now. You want to be taking profits and rolling that stuff into, value stocks. I do hold mining stocks. I have a mining portfolio that I share with the community on Patreon that has outperformed the S&P 500 since I created it in the August 2023. Okay, So these are stocks that I see that have major potential, plus they're paying dividends. So they're going to give you some kind of income stream. Whether they crash or not, there's still going to be some income there. So I think, when you're looking on the stock side, I do think some mining stocks, not all, not even the majority. It's a very narrow set of mining stocks that you might want to hold. GDX, GDXJ, probably a very good start.
Are you a fan of the penny stock mining stocks?
No. In fact, that's why I've concluded all cooperations with any sponsored mining videos on my channel, because I don't think that's an appropriate thing to be talking about or covering. Right. Now, when we're talking about, because please. I'm known as a Bitcoin owner as well.
I am too.
And I put very small amount of money, which has ballooned into a much larger part of my portfolio today.
For now.
But, I'm saying, don't enter that stuff right now. I'd say if you're really looking to hedge risk, we're talking about precious metals, apart from maybe some of those beaten down mining stocks that give you a little bit of income. And of course, I always think physical assets will do well, because if what I say comes to fruition and the Federal Reserve starts printing money again, I haven't been shy about the fact that the real estate market in the US has declined when measured in gold by 40% over the last couple of years.
Right.
Okay. And if gold and silver are real money, that's a major measure. Now, I know people look at it and say, but it's so highly overvalued. They expect a 2008 kind of scenario. But I do believe, and maybe the moment's not now, but at some point, maybe at the end of 2025, early 2026, I think that's another place. But basically where I'm looking right now, Eric, is in the physical, because anything that can be printed, diluted, recreated, duplicated, I believe that's going to be happening in the coming years, but that's not going to happen with gold, silver, or land, for example.
Yeah, I know on the Bitcoin front, it's purely a speculative asset for sure, and it's being kind of painted as almost like a tier one asset, like the dollar or gold.
It's not.
It's hard. Imagine trying to leverage or trying to finance against something that has a volatility of 60%. Like, it's literally impossible. Then when you also throw in the next piece to that, for me, which is it's effectively musical chairs, right? The value of your holding is only as good as the last person you were able to sell it to. If you happen to be the person where the chair was pulled, you're dead.
Peter Schiff calls it the greater fool, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're gone. So. All right, let's go back a little bit more, because I know people that follow your channel are interested in this. You've produced a lot of videos. Which are the ones that have really resonated with your audience, and why do you think that is?
I think the videos surrounding affordability of metals, because I do see that people feel that the savings rate is going down. Their real wages aren't developing, they're stagnating, going down even, and they're seeing that they can afford less and less gold and silver every time they're going to their coin shop or going to www.summitmetals.com to purchase some metals. They're seeing that their dollar is going, not as far as it used to, and that's all around the world. And those videos really make people understand, okay, this is why you do it over long periods of time, little bit by little bit, and not, as you said, try to time the market, buy the bottom, sell the top, right? So that kind of stuff resonates with the community, as well as riding the wave up, waiting till a crash, and then maybe taking some of the money out of those metals and buying other assets at their bottom. That is something else that resonates with people, because people, are smart. People who especially watch my channel are very intelligent. These are very sophisticated investors, and they understand trading pairs. So they understand that, for example, there is going to be a moment when there's absolute chaos and panic on the market, and they might find themselves on the sell side of metals.
Sure.
When it maybe reaches a blow off top, a crescendo in the market, and they might use a little bit of that money to buy something like the next Nvidia, which they can ride up to 300, 400%.
Correct.
Which I would never encourage somebody not to do.
Right.
And these are the kinds of bits of content that I'm putting out that really resonate with people, and I understand why. And if that's the kind of content, if you're watching this, that resonates with you, you're like me, and you're probably amongst the smartest investors out there watching my channel.
I agree. All right, just to kind of finish things up, kind of a fun little topic. What are your pet peeves?
My pet peeves. All right. When it comes to comments on my videos,
yes,
it's the people who comment based on the thumbnail, who don't even give the content a chance to say, okay, how is this guy approaching this topic? They'll come in, they'll see a thumbnail, you're an idiot, right? I mean, come on, give the content a chance. So that's a pet peeve of mine. Another pet peeve of mine when it comes to maybe my peers in the community are the people who are selling the dream, who are selling lottery tickets instead of financial security and a hedge against bad things that can happen in the market.
Correct.
Drives me crazy. I don't like that kind of content, and I'm not going to put that kind of content out.
All right. Well,
Bald guy.
bald guy money. You've been out it already. I would suggest this is one of the best videos I've ever seen. Just being here, listening to you, it's fantastic. You're just a fountain of information and such high quality. Like, I just congratulate you. I think it's absolutely amazing.
Eric, I love you, brother.
Yeah,
and it's great to work
I'm
with you, man.
super excited. I hope you realize what you've just gotten. This is amazing. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll sign out. Summit
See you
Metals,
guys.
thank you.
Well, that's our video with Bald Guy Bunny from the Berlin World Money Fair, an amazing event. We also have some other interviews coming that are also equally amazing. We're really excited for that. Now, if you have people you'd like us to interview, please leave us comments and let us know, and we'll make that happen. Please subscribe to the channel, check the bell, do all the things you need to do to stay informed in what's going on. We're so excited to have you here. Thank you very much, and happy stacking.